Shalom and welcome back to this edition of It's All About the Aliyah. This is part 2 of our very special program regarding the International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Our guest we're speaking to is Dr. Carrie Burns. We're going to take off and continue where we left off in part 1 regarding, Carrie, your experience at Auschwitz. This is something that really blows my mind because I know what type of visceral reaction I had going through that camp, especially I think the shoes and the hair, and you can speak to all of these things of the Jewish people. Something that struck me immediately upon getting off of the bus there was, I drove in a private vehicle, but there was all kinds of people getting off of buses, and that's a whole nother topic that I'll address. But was the enormity, the premeditation that had to be put into forming this camp, and the premeditation to annihilating an entire group of people. How in the world did you go to work there each day? And maybe tell our audience what you did and how you coped with that reality.
Auschwitz. You see the image behind me, the iconic image of the gate, and Arbeit macht frei, work makes free. It's a sham. If I move my head, do you see the letter B?
Yes.
It's upside down. Prisoners made that gate. They were forced to make that gate. And that was one of the ways they protested. No one noticed. We notice. The B is upside down, much akin to flying a flag upside down when you're in distress. And I actually prayed to get into Auschwitz. It was during a time of unemployment. I was in between jobs. Looking back, I know when it took 2 years and 2 months to get a new position in ministry. I didn't know that then. And so I wanted to make the best use of my time. And I took another course with the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem, Yad Vashem. And this was a course on commemorations and memorials. And one of the weeks we had to focus on Auschwitz-Birkenau. So I went to the Auschwitz-Birkenau. It happened to be Good Friday when I was working on my report for that week. And I was fasting. And I'm on the Auschwitz-Birkenau website getting the information I need. And I was about to wind up for the day and get ready to go to church. And I decided to look around the website. And then I saw that they had a volunteer department, and it made me shudder. Who would volunteer at Auschwitz?
Right.
And I remember I was presenting in Jerusalem at an international conference at Yad Vashem on the Holocaust. And I remember somebody pointing out, saying, there goes Dr. Savinsky. Okay, who's Dr. Savinsky? He's the director of Auschwitz-Birkenau. And I had to stop and think, Dr. Savinsky goes to work every day at Auschwitz. Somebody's got to lead that place. So I remembered that. I went to church. I listened to the sermon, the Good Friday sermon, but inside, I just kept getting a message, you can volunteer at Auschwitz. And that's not something you hear every day inside your head.
No, I guess not. No.
So I drove home in the deep night. It was in Texas, 45-minute drive home. And I listened to another sermon that night from a pastor in London. And I was going through the series of Elijah. And it was when he was calling his protege, Elisha, Eliyahu and Elisha in the Hebrew. And Pastor Hemmings said 18 times, Christian friends, are you being called Christian friend, are you being called? I went back, listened to it again, and counted how many times. And I thought that was a confirmation I was being called to volunteer at Auschwitz. So I did my due diligence, talked to my colleagues. They all, to the person, said, you must try this. You must try applying and seeing where it takes you.
That's incredible. I mean, that in itself is so rare. And as you said, who would volunteer there? I mean, just going. I mentioned a moment ago about buses, and I want to follow up on that. Why I mentioned that for our audience is because young people were getting off of buses. They had bus loads, and I don't know if they were school trips or what. I can't remember the time of year I was there. But they were getting off, and there was a lot of commotion, and they were talking and laughing as young people do as they were getting off the bus. Now, I had arrived there with a private guide because I was there alone in the country at the time, and she allowed me to just walk on my own and spend quiet time there. So I was observing these young people in their commotion and their laughter, and that it disturbed me initially. But I also observed as they made their way through the camp, how those emotions changed, how the reality of where they were set in, and how somber by the time they reached those broken down old gas chambers, how somber they were. And I realized how important it is to have an Auschwitz still remain, an Auschwitz for a reminder, for a lesson to teach every generation since then, the horrors and how to avoid those horrors. Now, you went one step further, obviously, than just touring the camp. Tell us about some of the duties that you had there.
Yeah, I did get in. I was accepted, and I then learned that I was unique. Americans don't apply, and also my age. Young people, the 20-somethings, are the ones who volunteer there, and the ones from Europe. And, it's interesting about the place doing its job, teaching people. Dr. Savinsky, the director's office, beautiful Catholic man, calls God his master. That's how he prays, my master. His office is in a former SS hospital right across from the gas chamber. He sees groups coming in and he sees groups leaving from his window. And he sees that the place has done its job.
The transition
has taught the people and has brought about the right. He says knowledge is important, but it's the empathy that he's after. Knowledge can puff up, as we know from the scriptures, but it's the empathy and the feeling and the understanding and the coming alongside that is the important thing that he's after. That
is so profound. And I really hope and trust that this program and these two programs that we're doing on this topic have that same effect on our audience. We need to take a break here, Carrie, and to our audience, we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We're talking with Dr. Carrie Burns regarding her experiences at Auschwitz. And Carrie, before the break, you were talking about building empathy for the cause. And just please share more about your experiences there. And I mean, I can see in you that empathy, and I've known you for a long time, and it's always been there as long as I've known you. But obviously, this had to be a life-changing experience for you.
It was, I arrived, this was in 2016. I was there from August through December. I got myself a little apartment. I took the bus in every day. And from the bus stop to the entrance, I prayed and sang. And that's a whole nother story about praying and singing hymns at Auschwitz. And the effect that has. But they started me off, as they do every volunteer, by seeing what you're made of and what you're able to do, and how you're able to cope with it, and the kind of job that you do. And so one of the first things they gave me to do was to take care of prisoner uniforms. And what the museum would do is lend out artifacts to other museums and exhibits all around the world. And then they would come back, and you'd need to catalog them and put them back where they belong in special environments, and make sure that the condition is appropriate. And so I worked with actual prisoner uniforms.
That's incredible.
Then one day, I'm wearing all black, of course. I go in, and they ask me to take care of bedding that had been lent out. And now it's, bedding. Time went on in the camp, there was no bedding. But early on, it was gunny sacks, and they filled it with straw. Well, this bedding, we took the straw. The straw has been taken out because we don't want bugs and stuff to eat at it. Well, this bedding came back filled with straw. Whoever borrowed it for their exhibit didn't take the straw out before shipping it back to Poland. So I needed to get all the straw out. And I remember I was all alone in a barracks, working with actual bedding and watching groups go by, and also praying for those groups and seeing them going this way. And by the time they were coming this way, their dispositions had vastly changed.
Yes, exactly.
But as time went on, they had me working with the shoes. And so, one of the last things that the pieces of apparel that would be taken off before going into the gas chambers, and always children in arms and babies, whoever's arms they were in, would go straight to the gas chamber. No tattoo, no work. And so I worked with the shoes, and we were overhauling the exhibit, because now research has found different ways to preserve these crimes against humanity. And what was used in the 60s and 70s has been updated vastly to what we use now. So all of it had to be redone.
Yeah.
And so I held each one.
How do you cope with, you're holding that shoe in your hand, why you're holding that shoe and what happened to the occupant, the owner of that shoe. And you're doing a job, you have to do it. And you're describing the technology that's involved in preserving, yet you're still having to cope. How did you cope with that, with the reality of what you had in your hand and the history there, and still be able to do your job?
The young people would have their earbuds in and listen to music to do the restoration work and the preserving work. I couldn't listen to music and do that at the same time. I had to be alone with my own thoughts and prayers. And the thing that kept me going, well, a few things. I prayed all day long.
Mm.
And so I was with God and he was with me. And also I thought, I wasn't there during the Holocaust to help, but I am here now. And this is the least I can do is they're already gone, but I can take care of their belongings. And then the third major thing was, of all the people in the world, God chose me to hold each of these shoes, and baby ones and the toddler, and there were shoes that were there were slippers, there were fancy Barbie doll type slippers that the woman must have been taken out of a rich home. There were sandals, could have been during the summer. There were boots. There were slippers, maybe in the middle of the night. There were labels in the shoes, Budapest, Warsaw, where the shoes were made or purchased. And I got to hold each one.
You are really connecting in some in a spiritual way and in a practical way. God bless you, and I know there's reasons why he had you there. Some of those reasons are manifesting today in the work that you're doing with Ministry to Israel and Ezra International. Carrie, we're up against another break. We'll come back and there's so much that we could cover. I'm not sure if we'll even get it in this program, but we'll give it a try. We'll be right back.
From Siberia to the Amazon, from Budapest to Buenos Aires, Jewish families hear the call to return to their biblical homeland, Israel. Their prophets foretold long ago that the return to Israel in our time would be a miracle, and it is. The prophets also foretold another calling for our time, to the Gentiles. And it is a call that Ezra International responds to each and every day, and you too can answer that call. You can bring Jewish people back to Israel from the four corners of the earth by praying, by learning about Aliyah, and by giving of your finances to help those in need. Join us at EzraInternational.org today as we answer the call together.
Welcome back. Our guest is Dr. Carrie Burns. We've been discussing the Holocaust and her experiences at Auschwitz. Carrie, we talked about some of the work that you did there. Our audience is probably wondering, what other insights you may have accumulated from your time there, from your experiences since then. Share what's on your heart about that.
When you're so up close and personal to the actual belongings and holding them and loving them, and it's I was working with the shoes. It was kind of like washing their feet, only posthumously, and taking care of their footwear and loving them. So many things rise to the surface that God teaches a person like me, just an ordinary believer. The standouts, one is humility, and also the staff at Auschwitz are mainly young people, and they're all so humble. All of them. They're all learners. They're even the guides are so Auschwitz is incomprehensible. We can't know it. So you can't walk around puffed up like this is my field. I know all about, we cannot fathom the depths. We'll never know everything about the Holocaust and about Auschwitz. And there's no pat answers.
No.
All the answers are complex.
Mhm.
There's no soundbite answers. It's multifaceted. So God teaches humility at a place like Auschwitz. Empathy, and going a step further than empathy, I think, is compassion.
Mm.
So we can empathize, but I believe compassion is putting the doing
That's right.
with the empathy, and it is higher than knowledge.
It really is, and you're emulating our Savior. Romans 15 verse 8, it speaks of Yeshua, Jesus, becoming a servant to the circumcision, the servant to his people, the Jewish people. And I think if we're going to emulate him, it's not what would Jesus do, it's what did he do. And if we're going to emulate him, I believe humbling ourselves, which you just mentioned, is the beginning. It is a prerequisite to our relationship with the Jewish people, and I believe you've done that in a huge way.
Well, thank you. But it's like there's no pat Christian answers. Oh, all things work together for the good. Oh, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Oh,
yeah, I know.
It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. You asked one of the most difficult questions earlier. I think it was in our program one. Where was God? That question lingers over every Yom HaShoah memorial. And again, no pat answers. And why would God let this happen? No pat answers. We see things through a glass darkly now, and we know that Israel was reborn, and that Jewish people now have a second opportunity, or for some, a first opportunity to get out of these countries and get to Israel and fulfill prophecies of a bigger, the big picture. God made a promise long ago. We look back all the way to the book of Deuteronomy, and he tells Moses, if you are scattered throughout the world, anywhere you're scattered, I will bring you back. And I think we're seeing part of that fulfillment, or in a big way, in our generation. But it's been going on, as you mentioned before, it's been going on for probably better part of 150 years, is that return to Israel, because of this ancient hatred that exists in the nations.
Mm-hmm. Another biggie was faith in God. And I learned, faith in God is not the same as optimism. Things don't always work out.
Good point.
Suffering does take place. Bad things do happen. There doesn't seem to be happy endings at times on this earth. And it doesn't mean that life will have a happy ending. Are you still going to have faith in God?
Yeah.
It's not like, grit your teeth and God will do it. God will do it. Okay, but it might not be the answer you're looking for. Do you still have faith in God?
That is a reality, and I'm glad you addressed that. I think there's too much, especially in the Christian world, of teachings that are more, life coaching type teachings. Have a optimism, have a positive attitude. But you're absolutely right. Where the rubber hits the road is when things are not going well. And we know, and maybe you've heard more about this, but I have read or heard of the many of the Jewish people going to the gas chambers, declaring the Shema as they went, and that's faith in their Creator till the end.
Yeah, the Shema, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. I believe God's name was uttered more at Auschwitz than at any other place on earth. I believe more prayers were said at Auschwitz than any other place on earth. I believe it's holy ground. It's sanctified. I didn't know that going in, I thought it's a place of horror and degradation and humiliation. It is. But there's something about it that God is, it's sanctified through all the prayers that were said in those gas chambers and every day in everyday life there at the camp. We don't have the mind of God. That's another thing I learned. You know, Job said, I clap my hand over my mouth. Shut up. I don't know anything. God knows it. We can't understand. He's got a purpose and a way. And I fear him and I love him. And he's holy and he is the God of love. And there is more to this darkness that will someday be revealed.
Wow, that is so profound and well said. Auschwitz stands as a symbol, a contrast between the God of this world, the creator of the universe, and the evil forces that exist, and the force that would say that they're above God, and trying to call. If the Jewish people disappeared from the face of the planet, which was the intent behind the Holocaust, then God would have been a liar, and we know that He is not. And this is the struggle between good and evil, the satanic struggle between Jehovah, our God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the world system and and satanic powers. And Auschwitz stands as a testament to that. And I think you're absolutely right. It is holy ground. And we will never fully understand it this side of eternity.
You know, I actually got to go to the place and serve, but you can pray for the place and all the visitors who go there. You can give to Ezra International, that's rescuing 90-year-old Holocaust survivors and getting them out of Europe and bringing them home to Israel. I know our partner Ministry to Israel, they help Holocaust survivors in Israel with walkers and with heaters and blankets and the things that they need. There's ways that you can be a Corrie ten Boom now. And she didn't go for the notoriety. She got it later, but that's not why rescuers do what they do. They're called to do what they, and all of us are rescuers if we get behind this work.
Absolutely fantastic. Well said. That's the perfect place to bring this program to a close, because if we've done anything, I hope it is build that empathy and that longing to be different, to do something about this, the condition of the Jewish people in this generation. Thank you, Carrie. Very well said.
Thank you.
And to you, our audience, take the charge, take that challenge that Carrie laid out and do something. Make your life count for something different in this generation, when so many didn't, during the Holocaust. Go to EzraInternational.org and make your best gift, and we'll help Jewish people escape these countries and get home to Israel. God bless you. Thank you. See you next time.